Okay, so question 30. 20 years ago, Hector invested in a sum of money in an account earning interest at 3.2% per annum, compounding monthly. So we've got a few things. So you know he invested, and you've got the compounding monthly and 2.3% per annum. So we're going to be often using Finance Solver, so it's good to put your little things. So they've given you the I, and PPY we know is 12. And it says 20 years ago. So this 20, so the 20 years ago, that might have something to do with your N. So if you just get ready, we don't know. We've got to keep going with the question, see what they ask. So after 10 years, he made a one-off extra payment of $10,000 to the account. For the next 10 years, the account earned 2.8% per annum, and still compounding monthly, and the balance of his account today was this. Okay, the sum of money that Hector originally invested is closest to. So what you have to do here is we need to go backwards, all right, because we know a few things. So I've got, like, if you did his timeline, so remember it went 10 years, so you had the first 10 years, and then I'll just do in green, then we had the second 10 years. Okay, so that was in total. So the sum of money that he originally invested. So this is when the question originally invested, that would be probably down here. If you had your first 10 years, it's going to be the PV in this first 10 years is going to be the question. That's what we want to know. All right. But because we had a change of scenario in there, we need to make sure when we go backwards, we need to go back to that 10 because there was a change of scenario, that interest rate changed, and he also had done a lump sum of 10,000. Yeah? So let's go back. So I'm going to go back on the second 10 years. So if I go backwards, so if I write down all the Finance Solver of what went on here, that's payment. So he didn't make any payments, did he? So he only just did one extra payment. He just invested it, and that's it. So that was important to know too. So let's go through this. So we're doing, what we know is the final value. Here's a final value at the end of that second 10 years. So I can pop that final value, and because it was an investment, the bank is going to pay him back that amount. All right, so we want to go back. So we knew if we said at the end of that second 10 years, it was that, and he was getting 2.8% per annum. And the PV is probably what I want to know what we went back to. He didn't make any payments, and PPY was 12. So what we're going to do, this is going to, when we go back, we're going to find the final value at the first 10-year mark. That's what this is going to, at the first 10-year mark. And also, we have to remember that 10,000 was added into that, yeah, at that point. So remember, an extra 10,000 was added in at that point. All right, so let's go do that on the Finance Solver. Okay, so I do that and I get a negative 519,000, sorry, 320 point, I'm going to round it, 30. Okay, so that's how much he had at the end of the first 10 years, but you have to minus the 10,000. So see here, I'm going to minus 10,000. So I've got 519,320.30, and I'm now going to minus that 10,000, that lump sum. Okay, and so then we would have 509,320.30. So what this is the final value at the end of the first 10 years now. Okay, so if I go back to Finance Solver and I try to, because I've got to find that PV. Yeah. Okay, so we've got to go, this is the question, obviously, we want to go back to that. We know the final value, so that at this point, so we'll pop it in there. So that's my final value. It was still monthly in the first 10 years. We need to change it to 3.2% because there was a different percentage rate. Payments, he still was 0. Okay, so, and it was still, this would have been the end of the first 10 years. So we're going to do that. So when you pop it through your Finance Solver, just make sure you're changing that interest rate. And you're also changing your final value, 509,320.30. And we press, so I'll go back to PV, press enter, and I get here, when I do that, 370443. So what is that? No. Have I got too many numbers? So we did that, sorry, I entered this number in wrong, but we've now got this, so negative 36999.99. So the closest answer is going to be this 370,000. So just to clear up, there's a few people confused about this. When you invest, remember when you invest money on Finance Solver, it ends up being the PV, it makes the PV negative, okay? So I was going backwards from the very end, and when I got back to here, this was what I said he was investing in the second half, because we had a change of scenario. So remember I said you should always pretend you're starting again. So what we would go would be at the end of the first 10 years, and we're going to say, all right, he's going to invest this money. But at that end of that first 10 years in here, they said he made a one-off payment. So that means he was going to invest another 10,000. So that's why another 10,000 would have given him more money, more into the investment. So down here, I'm doing this without thinking about Finance Solver. I'm thinking, well, he invested a total of that, but 10,000 of that was the extra lump sum. So I'm taking that away so that I know, well, that's what his actual final value was at the end of 10 years, and then he put another big lump sum in there. So what we said, we should say, if you want, this is when the 10,000 was added in. So remember, that's a final value, but he's going to reinvest that, and that's why it became negative up here. All right. So question 11, later Samuel took out a new reducing balance loan. So we know there, the interest rate was 4.1% per annum compounding monthly. The balance of the loan after 4 years of monthly payments was this. So what you want to do at the balance of the loan, so you might want to write that's 4 years at monthly payments, the loan, the final value. So remember, when you're loaning, that means you still owe the bank. So the final value was 587.25. So just so you know, that's what they just told you there. And we do have a couple of things. We have the I, and we've got PPY is 12. Okay? And would have been reducing balance loan. So maybe just write PV is positive. When we've got a loan, you get the money to buy the house or whatever. Okay, then it has the next one. It says that we've got another bit of information here. It says the balance of the loan after 7 years. So we got 7 years of monthly payments was this. So I have at N when it's 7 times 12, I know a final value was 280,875.15. Okay, Samuel will continue to make the same monthly payments. To ensure the loan is fully repaid off to the nearest cent, the required repayment will be lower. Negative. Okay, so Samuel will continue to make the same monthly repayments. To ensure the loan is fully repaid to the nearest cent, the required final repayment will be lower in the first 7 years. Will be lower. In the first 7 years, Samuel made 84 repayments. Okay, from this point on, how many more monthly repayments will Samuel make to repay the loan? So we have not really been given the payment amount, but it remained the same. So we know we might want to write the little note. That's what they're telling us here. The payment is remaining the same. And they told us that in the first 7 years, he made 84 monthly repayments. So if you do 7 times 12, does that give you 84? Yes. So that's nothing unusual about that. They're just saying that he dead set didn't make any extras or anything. So they're probably clearing up. So if we go down and let's work in Finance Solver. So we're going to pop in everything that's going on here. And that payment is what I don't know. I've got nearly all the information, but payment I don't know, and that's what I need because I need to know how many times he's going to do before he pays this thing off. So so what we need to do, we don't know the initial value either. We only know that at 7-year mark, he still owes this much. But he's making those same repayments. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to pretend that this part is the start and this is the end, and I'm going to use that to find the payment, okay? So how many years in between 4 years and 7 years? 3. So I'm going to say 3 times 12 here. I'm going to use 4.1%. The PV, I'm using this new amount. So I'm going to pretend that was the loan. And so I'm putting it in as positive. So 329,587.25. The payment is the question. So I'll leave that blank. Now the final value, what I still owe is the final value I still owe is at that 7 years. So you still owe it. So it's negative 280,875.15. And they did say PPY was 12. So let's go do that and we're going to work out the payment. Okay, so when I did that, I get a payment and it was negative 2,400.00. So you can often feel good about that. That's a nice number and that's probably you're on the right track. So now they want to know how long, from this point, how many more monthly payments. So we want to pretend from the 7-year mark, we've got a new loan. And our new loan, so we're going to go, and that ends the question. So how many more months? So that's the question. And we're going to use the same interest rate. Now our PV is going to be like we're borrowing our 7-year mark again. So that's going to be positive. So the 7-year total was 280,875.15. And we now know what payments we've got to put in. We've got to put this payment in. So negative 2,400. The FE, we want to know how long it's going to take to zero out. Yeah? And they did say that the last payment will be lower. So that's giving us a bit of information. So let's go down and find what that. All right, so we get up here. This is months, mind you. You get 149 point, I'm just going to round it, 7 months. Now, they told you the final repayment will be lower. It will be lower, C, because we've actually got to go to 150 to pay it off, but the last one would be less, wouldn't it? Yeah, because we're going over. And that was their way of explaining out what you're going to say. So you are going to say the answer for how many more monthly payments, therefore 150 more monthly payments, and that last one will be less. We know that because we can see we have to round up, yeah?